dash and chosen 2, you are going to get a prompt. That prompt will give you options, the number of tickets. So you increase those number of tickets and do that as many times as you can, and in bulk numbers. Because on the dashboard, you find that the numbers, that is your number, if you have replicated them or dialed and chosen the options as many times as you can, based on the number of tickets, you find that your numbers tend to replicate, increase. So you have many of your numbers on the electronic dashboard. Okay. And so you'll find that when you click the dashboard, you'll find that if it's 0244 44444, you'll find it many times. And it's all because you decided to dial option 2, TV3, increase the number of tickets. So it is the ticket numbers that tends to give you those options as many times as possible. So for each of the draws today, we're going to give you 1,000 Ghana cedis each. We'll do as many times as we can, those number of draw, 3, 4, 5 times, and then we'll replicate that. And then we'll have them as many times as we can. When we do the draws, you get money credited into your mobile money account. Fantastic. Let me say good morning to some great people I have missed so far. Delight, Delzy. So Delzy, baby, good morning to you, Delight. I wish you all the best for the day. Raffle Ose Bunsu and your wife, Portia. You are in the Jusso and then also in Kumasi as well. I wish you all the best. John Agringi and then also your wife, Julieta Yamba. Wishing you all the best for the day. Mrs. Joy and your name, Adai. And Esther as well. I wish you all the best for the morning. For those who have joined us online, please make sure that you also become part of this big bonanza as many times as you can. Kwesi Mensah is always watching us from the United States of America. He's saying that, why is it that he's not winning? Cash out, you can always win, or you have relatives down here, so make sure that you become part of all the things that you have to do. Okay, already we have a number of you who have joined us. Please share the stream, because this morning we have an important matter to discuss. You would recall, Anno Dompre, the Member of Parliament for Nsawama Dredri, and one of the minority leaders, or of the individuals in the leadership, did say the last week, while addressing a number of supporters of the MPP, that will make work difficult for government, the majority as well, is all because there's an important issue, he says, about the Electoral Commission needed to declare the Ablekuma North seat. And you know that it's one of the a few seats that are still in limbo, and the Electoral Commission, we expect, to do the needful. But, I mean, should that be a premise on which he will make work difficult, whether in Parliament, etc., or not? So let me just do some quick introduction of our guests this morning. I have just close to me, Hamza Soheyeni. He is a lawyer. Good morning to you. How are you as well?
Good morning.
Yeah. Have we met on the set before? I don't think so. Great. Welcome. We'll have some great discussions this morning. And then legal practitioner ready for the courts, lawyer Apia Dankwa. Your first name is Andrew. Akra. Mr. Apia Dankwa. He doesn't like the title lawyer, but he is. He is. Now, Dr. Tutu Boahin has joined us. You're a lecturer, right?
Lecturer.
Which
University of Education.
Fantastic, man. I've been seeing you on the airways as well, and this is not the first time you're here as well. So
yes.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Fantastic, man. So he will help us. He's a political marketing strategist. And when you do political science, marketing itself, you do a combination of it. How do you make sure political messages are well disseminated to the right target markets, etc.? For those who have a marketing background, they'll understand. After you've done your segmentation and all that, so you'll get to understand very well. So he's here to help us. I mean, what do we make meaning of all this? Those who have joined us, let me acknowledge you. Thank you for joining us this morning. We're grateful. So I will acknowledge a couple of you while I also tell you about *439#. So let me also say thank you all for joining us. Alfred, Mona Lisa, Alfredo, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us. Mani Nimani, Nathaniel, Agbujan, good morning to you. Governor, I've seen you as well. Thank you for your message. As always, keep watching. That's the most important thing. High Life Governor, keep watching as always. Increase the number of shares you have. Also state your view. Emmanuel Nyako, good morning. Kwesi Mensah, Uncle Charles Thompson. Charles Thompson is watching us from the UK, grateful. And then George Anthony, good morning to you as well. And Atakofi, Mali Atakofi, and Versatile, Manuel Dixon, Umar Farouk Nazar, Justice, good morning. Emmanuel Dogbache, you've joined us as well. Edward Soka, good morning. Bright Tifo, good morning. Belinda, so Julie Belinda Ubri, good morning. And then Moss Wise, thank you for joining us. But let's also tell you about a lot of Valentine, because we'll do that very soon as well. And this is what Anodom Press said.
To say MPP for and now say MPP ni any NDC ni ekwa wa MPP ni no na yam NDC ni we are giving the EC 1 week 7 days. The EC must come and declare our candidate as the winner of the general election. If the NDC led by Mahama Yariga will not be reasonable, no Matthias Yese, Ablekumanov, based on all the evidence available, no more margin somebody to trust them, they will continue. You are not going to allow the EC to collect. The IGP, I am against Obey Shahai. Na nkofwe akofwe di nkwasiasam etutuasam.
Well, and then he used a number of unprintable words that, as part of our editorial policy, we wanted to just shelve, so we cut that aspect. But, Mr. Suhuyini, what do you make of this, Hamza?
Good morning to our cherished viewers. I see Roland. I have always maintained that when it comes to the survival of our democracy as a republic, it behooves on all of us to demonstrate some sense of maturity and, most importantly, appreciation of the institutions of states. Because apart from the fact that the executive judiciary, the Parliament of Ghana, and also, of course, the media, another important feature of our democracy is not just the establishment of institutions, but how many of us who are privileged to work in these institutions, how we conduct ourselves. It's very, very important. And I think that for some time now, we've taken that for granted. I say so because sometimes when I look at even the selection processes for parliamentary candidates in our political parties, I get a little bit concerned.
You mean across board? Across
board. I think that is where we seem to be missing an important avenue to scrutinize many of these people.
Hamza, what is wrong with that process, based on your own observation?
I think that it is largely influenced by how deep your pockets are, and to a very large extent, how politically connected you are, or fortunate to have been as a member of any of the political parties. And so, but we have instituted vetting processes over the last 2 or 3 decades intended to regulate the kind of people that go through. But unfortunately, because of the human tendencies to be corrupt, especially for many of us in Africa, these processes are also skewed in a way to allow any character to have access to these important institutions of our democracy. And I have always argued that the more we take it for granted, the more we subject these institutions to possible destruction in the future. And by extension, our democracy would be under attack. And so it is important as political parties for us to begin to look at the selection processes of our candidates. Because you see, whatever happens either in Parliament or within the executive have lasting effects on the survival of our democracy. And I think that we are playing around that field. And for me, that is my discomfort. Roland, the likes of Arnaud Dompré, this is not the first time he's conducted himself in this manner. We all know. You see, even immediately after the declaration of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama, when his own government was readying the stage to hand over to the NDC as the next replacement, this same gentleman was on record to have called on His Excellency, the former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to stall the transition process largely because of concerns he felt that his party had, and it had to do with the declaration of his parliamentary contest. I guess I got that right.
You mean Samuel Madrid?
Yes. He called on the president.
Because he was in limbo for some time.
Precisely. But based on that obsession to be a member of parliament, this guy had the effrontery to call on a sitting president to put on hold our legal processes that are designed to ensure smooth transition of power to another government. And we allowed him to go scot-free. The condemnation was not wide. There was no sense of accountability.
So, Hini, are you claiming that, based on your observation, he's been of an unruly behavior?
Absolutely.
And that is becoming of a member of parliament?
I agree,
So,
fully, without any hesitation, because I've just given you the basis.
I see.
I've just given you the basis, because there's nowhere in our laws that prevents a sitting president from proceeding with transition process.
Another has been unruly?
So what he was simply calling for was an overthrow of our democratic processes. And this character is favored enough to be a sitting member of parliament to legislate for the, what's the name, the development, so-called development of this country, I should put it that way. And yet, these are the characters we're entertaining. Not long ago, it was this same gentleman who led another form of mutiny in parliament at the vetting committee because of his unruly conduct. We all saw what he did and how he led people to overturn tables in parliament, appointments committee. The same character. And today, someone who legislates, who sits in our parliament house, mandated to legislate, is not aware that the Electoral Commission is supposed to be an independent institution and that you cannot, at the comfort of your party offices, or if you call it, if you like, even from parliament, and begin to throw out instructions to the Electoral Commission to follow, and using words like must declare. What the heck? And so if you are not careful, you see, I have argued elsewhere that it is not the president alone mandated to be a diplomat for our country. To a very large extent, and not just the foreign affairs minister, even members of parliament must be ambassadors of this republic. Your conduct as a member of parliament must reflect the positive attitude of this country. But you and I know that this conduct that Arnaud Dompré seem to be championing has serious implications on our international standard. And so even if you are a member of parliament, you must understand that you have that measure of responsibility in terms of protecting the image of this country. That is equally lost on him.
So you mean that from the litany of actions and behavior that he has exhibited, which now you'll recall, culminating in that incident before the appointments committee, where he said Muntutu Kebo no, Muntutu Table no, and all that, that also gives a certain sense of irresponsibility.
Absolutely, he has been irresponsible from the West Pole. And you see,
as a member of parliament,
absolutely,
irresponsibility.
very, very irresponsible. And you see, Roland, the funny thing about it is that the MPP seem not to be learning from the not too distant past that eventually led to their exit. You see, it appears that the mistakes of the last 8 years seem to be crystallizing under this new leadership. Because if you observe, it is not just Arnaud Dompré who is demonstrating that. Even their leader seem to be on that trajectory. And here I'm talking about Afenyo Markin. And for me, the MPP, those of them who are interested in reform, must be concerned about the future of their party. Because what they are doing is simply making the party unattractive. Living under the, what's the name? I'm trying to find a more acceptable word. Because sometimes if you are not careful, you'll be provoked to say things you are not supposed to say. But you see, I think that they are living under an illusion that what these guys are doing seem to be galvanizing the base. But unfortunately, it is still feeding into the narrative of arrogance, even outside power. And so it is important for us to let them understand that, look, there's the need for us to change course. And for me, my brother, I can assure you, he has no power to disrupt Parliament. They may have been entertained, the first instance, largely because it came as a surprise. But I can assure the NPP that the National Democratic Congress is more than ready. And anybody...
I don't understand. They have no power. You've seen the disruptions.
No, that's what I'm telling you, that they may have succeeded partially.
Tables,
yes, that's what I'm telling you, that Roland, they may have succeeded because it came as a surprise. But now we are ready for them.
I see.
If the IGP is failing to act, when being called upon to act to protect the democracy of this country, I can assure you that the National Democratic Congress, with an overwhelming majority, the Ghanaian people expect them to ensure that our institutions are protected. And we will do everything within our power to protect our state institutions. And if it means going after the likes of another.
And from where he's sitting and citing, he's not alone. Civil society organizations have raised concerns about the behavior of the members of parliament. Indeed, having the ad hoc committee even composited in itself bears testimony to that. Now, to the point that he's even citing excessive monetization, where individuals who are supposed to be members of parliament seem to be of not a courteous behavior. That is an indictment on not only being a member of parliament, but also the entire parliament and the country. Could that be said to be a good thing or bad?
So let me wish your viewers a good morning. Wish yourself a good morning. Very excited, as always, to meet my brother Hamza. We've been meeting quite a bit, I'm sure. And I must also add that I stand on all fours with his arguments, in particular the bit about how his behavior, the behavior of Anodon Prayer threatens our democracy. And let me say a good morning to Doc here, first time meeting. Hopefully we can all have a very good discussion in service of our country. Now, so let me reiterate this position. I stand on all fours with my brother Sonny's position when he says that, especially when he says that the spirit, the character, the values being exhibited by Anodon Prayer is a threat to our democracy and the benefits of our constitutional democracy. Because see, when you take our constitution, and especially the bit about the preamble, where the values of Ghana, the people of Ghana, where the purpose for why we decided as a people to take upon ourselves a framework, this constitutional democratic framework as the best form of the best system of governance. Understand? First of all, was to secure for ourselves and prosperity the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity. So that if you act in a manner that undermines or that takes away or that threatens this constitutional democracy, then what you're actually working against is, one, the blessings of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity for the entire people of this country. Now, his position becomes even more disappointing when you consider that just 7th January, Honorable Anodon Prayer, I don't say Honorable Anodon Prayer, and the Honorable MP, because that's their right title. He himself does not have that title. Is the position that has the title. Took an oath. Now, what were the terms of those oaths? One of the critical terms of that oath was that he was going to show faith and allegiance to the Republic of Ghana. Now, that also means that he was going to show faith and allegiance to the values of the Republic of Ghana. He was going to show faith and allegiance to the purpose of the Republic of Ghana. You understand? And in less than 1 month, Anodon Prayer, Honorable MP, has breached every single term of the oath he took. Because, one, his charge as the minority chief whip to cause his caucus to breach and break the laws of Ghana, to destroy the property of this country, to show values which are adverse to our common value, to show values and principles which are adverse to the values and principles of liberal democracy, to show a spirit which is adverse to the collective spirit of this country. Roland, clearly shows that this is somebody who has breached every single oath he took and questions why he should even be an MP. The bigger question, however, is how did the party, the political party, because you see, I think it is beyond contestation that to sustain democracy, the benefits of democracy, then as the people, we need to create the right political culture, that one that tolerates diverse views. Because one of the fundamental values and principles in any democratic dispensation is a recognition and a respect for the diversity of views. Because one of the key things that democracy seeks to entrench and protect is the freedom of thought. In our tree language, we tend to call democracy kebi, mamin kebi. We call politics amanyo sem. We are building. You understand? So that if you show any spirit, any value, which seems to suggest that you cannot tolerate diverse views, which seems to suggest that you do not respect the rule of law. You understand? And an understanding by the people of Ghana that to create that right political culture that will sustain this democracy, then we need to have a democratic system which is multi-party based, because we believe that the parties, per their values, per their principles, which ultimately should reflect the values of the people of this country, would aid in the creation of that right political culture that would sustain our democracy. But that also includes the vetting of the human beings who will be at the forefront of this agenda. So for one of the major political parties, a party who do not lose time in throwing about their liberal democratic credentials. You understand? Credentials that for a very long time I could not argue against, but credentials that have been allowed to be whittled down since 2009. A party that has deliberately sucked away that good spirit, the spirit of tolerance, the spirit for the rule of law, sucked that spirit, and have wholeheartely invited.
I don't understand. You mean that?
Let me land.
You mean individuals like J.H. Mensah and the rest wouldn't have behaved this way?
Certainly, you understand. They respected the values of tolerance. They respected the values of the rule of law. You understand? They respect the values of those who govern must govern with the consent of those that are going to come. They respected the values of patriotism. They reflected the spirit of service. Now, in 2009, we sat down for people led by His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo to sack those values away and to wholeheartedly invite the values of family spirit.
How do you draw those conclusions? People were sacked, etc.
I said the values, the spirit, the character, the principles, all the principles that made the new patriotic party.
And which people were spearheading those principles and values?
Principle, because, like I'm saying, listen, we can't have an argument that prior to 2009, the spirit that ruled the NPP were spirits of tolerance. You understand? Were spirits of a respect for the rule of law. You understand? We can't have a spirit of patriotism. That's the reason why the founding fathers of the party chose the name New Patriotic Party, because the reason why you form a political party is to advance the cause of the country. You understand? So that means is that under no circumstance should your parochial interest, should the individual or personal interest of the party supersede the interest of the country. Yeah, but immediately you have values, you have principles, you have a spirit, you have an agenda which is adverse to the agenda of the country, then you have no reason even being a political party. Now what I'm saying is that after 2009, we sat down and allowed those enviable, patriotic, those values that reflected our beliefs in liberal democracy. We sat down and allowed those values to be sacked. And the values that represent familiar spirit, values of intolerance.
Familiar spirit?
Yes, values that say that all die be die. Machiavellian spirit. Values that dictates that, listen, it does not matter how you reach a goal. You shouldn't, it doesn't mind whether it's criminal, whether it will destroy. Once you attain the goal of power, once you attain the goal of power, it doesn't matter how you go by. How can this MPP choose somebody who will say that in spite of our agenda to build and foist one Ghana, we don't have two Ghana, one Ghana, You understand? In spite of our collective agenda to foist one Ghana, because go and check the what's called Chapter 6, the Directive Principle of States, one of the political agenda. One of our fundamental agendas is to foist one Ghana. One Ghana.
And how does having...
He says that there are two Ghana. So if you, the members of the NPP, if you see, you should first, why should you think that the NPP and NDC people will meet and fight? When you, instead of you separating them, now listen, you're NPP, NDC, but we are Ghanaians. So stop fighting. Let's aid the NPP guy to beat up the NDC guy. That is a familiar spirit. Why would you think that way? Minority Chief Whip, a leader, mentioned by Kojo Appiah. Minority Chief Whip, we shouldn't be tolerating these people as leaders in this country. Because this I'm saying, and that's what I say, I stand on all fours. Because what is at stake is our democracy, and by extension, the benefits of the democracy. The benefits being the prosperity of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity for all. So when you act in a way, in a manner that attacks democracy, then what you are attacking in this country is the prosperity of liberty, the equality of opportunity, and that's exactly what Anodon Prayer has done. And for me, Ghanaians should reflect and think about the MPP, the new character of the MPP. Character that they was, how can it wasn't not the same.
Not long ago, you were just a member of the MPP, so I'm surprised you're making some of these insinuations.
That's why I left. That's why I left. When I became convinced I don't change, I left. You understand? Because when you're not worried, I'm coming. Let me just land on this. We're not worried when the MPP, a party who claims that one of their core values is a respect for the protection of our environment, suddenly allowed Galamsey to happen, and then Anodon Prayer himself said on Parliament that he wants to engage the NDC in a debate, as in between the two of them, who has caused more destruction to our environment. You understand? So listen, I'm concerned. I'm concerned as a Ghanaian, as a patriot, because there's a purpose, there's a reason why we, the people of Ghana, decided that within the context of the framework we chose for ourselves to guarantee for us the prosperity of liberty, equality of opportunity, and prosperity for every single Ghanaian. It had to be led by a multi-party system. Because we believe that in our quest to entrench democracy, in our quest to create that right political culture that will tolerate diverse views and hold political leadership accountable, then the political parties would have to lead that effort. So for the MPP to allow themselves to be weakened, to depart so radically from their core values, to such an extent that people like Anodon Prayer will not only become an MP, but will become a minority chief whip. Because the duty of the chief whip is to whip your members, not just to your party's values. Because in any case, the values of the party must align to the nation's values. I have a chief whip who is whipping his members to act in a manner which is adverse to the values of the country. It means that yes, he is whipping them. I want to do Mike, no, are you not worried that just 2 days after that, in a common football match, people having watched the disgraceful act, the intolerance act of the MPs, for that in a mere football match, they had to settle scores by somebody attacking.
What happened in Parliament got to do with the football match where there was a death that was recorded?
What happens in Parliament, what we all exude, you understand, trickles down to the base. So when we show to the base, that is, we can disagree without being violent. We can disagree without disrespecting each other. We can disagree without destroying. It trickles down to the base. Then they understand. And listen, I can disagree with my brother Swin, I can disagree with Doug, without first of all, my disrespecting them, and without resorting to distraction. But you have a leader of parliament, minority chief whip, who in settling a simple matter of, we are tired, we are not tired, we will continue, we won't continue.
Okay.
Whipped his members to destroy the property of this country. You understand? Then we should be concerned, and we need to start asking a new patriotic party the right question, because if they are weak, the country ultimately will become weaker for that.
Dr. Situbuahing, at the end of the day, somebody will ask, members of parliament, whether it's in Ghana or across the world, are entitled to communicate in such a way that, one, based on strategy, tends to involve and then also edge on their followers so that they could have a certain position, and then also engender a lot of support across the base. Now, coming from an election where there's been massive loss, etc., somebody will say that, well, the posture of an Odompe, the minority leader, and the rest of the minority who tend to lead, is also just in that vein. The strategy to make sure that they whip up enthusiasm among the base, because morale, so to speak, is low. Can that be a good question?
Let me start by taking opportunity to say good morning to you all. To say good morning to you all and to our viewers, wherever they may be. I think that the question may be a good question, but not strategic.
Which one is more strategic?
Not strategic in the sense that, obviously, when you check all other forms of democracy and you look at the behavior of voters as against behavior of politicians, violence, and for that matter, threats to opposition parties and all that, let me say, negative communication does not really result in any positives, for the communicator and its teaming followers. I think that the statement made by Honorable Anodompreh is not too palatable for our democracy. And I wouldn't even limit it to him alone, but to the entire political leadership. Obviously, Suhini was talking earlier about leadership. For me, I see a kind of leadership crisis right from, constituency levels, even up to the national level. And the point is this. Sometimes you get to certain constituencies and you look at the caliber of political leadership that we have. And obviously, it is not about issues of leadership per se, but it appears to me that, yes, these people find certain opportunities, take advantage of, politics, become political heads, and they don't really have any values that will command that position as leaders. Sometimes you check their backgrounds and you realize that these people, quote and unquote, are not actually fit for the position that they find themselves.
I don't understand. When you say not fit, what do you mean? Is it by fit, qualification, yes, by training, by education, exactly, formal and informal?
Yes.
What are you trying to say?
By formal education, by formal education, by experience, by values. Values here, I mean personal values, cultural values, and you get these people there, and all that they exhibit is a kind of authority which does not even support common sense. Now, leadership selection is very important. Leadership selection. And let me say that those of us who are in areas of research, we have come to the realization that the changing demography in Ghanaian politics, the changing voter behaviors, in Ghanaian politics, demands that we move away from the 1992, strategy that political parties were using to a more sophisticated, modern forms of, political strategy.
Please explain. You mean the just immediate post-PNDC revolutionary, and then making entry, a fresh NDC, fresh MPP, and those antics up to 2004, we should move away from that?
Obviously, even in 2020, we should move away from
because we're seeing signs of that.
Signs.
Are you worried?
A change. Yes, I'm obviously worried. I mean, Suhini made a brilliant point about the fact that leadership represents, or they are ambassadors, of their political parties. And I can agree with that. And basically, when you check, all right, these days you realize that voters even follow party leaders to vote for them. So if you even check the swing voting, dynamics, you are realizing that people are swinging because of certain personalities within the party and the attachment to those personalities. All right. So if you're a leader and you would behave, negatively, then of course you are making your own party unattractive.
Because of the changing demographics.
Exactly. You are making your own party very, very unattractive. Now, you see, we talk about leadership selection, and I think that my good friends have all articulated that point, indicating that what has happened in Parliament, previously, and even in the recent time, is not anything good that we can talk about. All right. Now, 2017, what happened? You get it? It demonstrated that the caliber of parliamentarians that we have can be violent.
Violent?
Violent, obviously. The appointment committee in recent times, I read a story that somebody said that one ended under the table and then held the balls of
it's the chair of the appointment committee in an interaction with Alfredo Kanse. It was actually
yes.
But Roxy Nelson, the appointment, has since denied that.
Okay, but that is
word against
exactly.
Yes.
You get it.
So, for example, you mean holding the ball?
Yes, and it will take a desperate person, who has been beaten probably in a fight to go to that extent. All right, and so that's where I talk about violence. We have seen some members of parliament leading mob attacks. All right, and for me, I feel that the ambassadorial status of our MPs that they are supposed to be commanding gradually is draining.